Well, family, what's going on? It's another Wellness Wednesday on this 24th day of May. Yours truly, Joe Dupree, in the building, along with my good friend Edward J. Brown from Positive Choices Counseling Service on this Wellness Wednesday, where we always say a healthy you
Is
is
a
a
better
better
you.
you, and your mental health matters. Speaking about mental health and matters, it is Mental Health Awareness Month, the
And we
whole month
coming
of
up
May.
on the end of it, man, already.
Right. The end of May is already here. It's already here. So we want to let you know that we are very concerned about your mental health. I just did a show last night where I featured an up and coming rising star in the gospel genre,
Trent Yaddison.
and we talked about, you know, tell a friend to tune in, because every Wednesday so much is going on. Today I would be remiss without saying two things today. Number one, the world knows I am from Tennessee, and the world knows today that that famous woman from Nutbush,
Yes,
Nutbush City
sir.
Limits, Tina Turner, went on into paradise. May she
She
rest in peace.
transitioned today, baby. She transitioned.
And not only her, but at 94 years old, do the right thing, not talking about a black or white thing. Spike Lee's father passed away today.
Oh, really? Yeah, I remember him. He had a part in She's Gotta Have It.
Right, right. So
Yeah.
94 years of just being a blessing. But our
Wow.
prayers go out to the fans, the friends of Tina Turner,
Absolutely.
and to the Lee family, you know. So
Absolutely. Absolutely.
and to anyone else who's lost people, because Lord have mercy, there has been everything from shootings to car
Mm-hmm.
accidents to
Mm-hmm.
motorcycle
Yep.
accidents. As the summer comes in, man, things are starting to happen, and they're happening fast. And we know that all plays a toll on your mental health. That's why we decided to do this show. So without any further ado, let me turn it over to my brother, Edward J.
Man,
Brown.
it's always a pleasure to be with you, brother, every Wednesday.
Yes, sir.
I want to start off by saying, something you say every week. You say, man, people are watching,
Yes, they
people
are.
are paying attention, and
They are.
people are getting help. I had a
Hold,
brother.
hold on. Hold on. Before you even go there, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Before you even go there, let me do this. Let me do this. And then we're going to go there, because maybe I need some help today.
Okay.
A lot of folks who were on my social media platform saw where Sunday something happened that no one wants to have happen. Some very young boys attempted to break into my house and attempted to take some things from me. Not only did they do it at my house, they did it at someone else's house. Also, once again, your mental health matters.
Absolutely.
So these young men had some BB guns that look like real guns, and we're trying to address that. But just understand this, and this is from me talking to everyone. As we continue to grow, to learn, and to build, and look out for one another, I am my brother and my sister's keepers.
Yes,
Come
sir.
on, family, y'all got to parent your children, because either they gonna do something to hurt somebody, or somebody gonna do something to hurt them. And these days and time, people just don't look at children like they used to. I know at the end of the day, people go, "Oh, that was little Johnny, that was little Jane." But the
Mhm.
truth about it is, we just heard on the news where a 6-year old brought a gun to school and shot his teacher.
Shot his teacher. That's right. That's right.
So all I'm saying is, family, if you brought them in this world, give them some guidance as they go through this world, and give them some positive guidance. I just see too many young men and women who are wanting to be the next Tariq on Power. They want to be the next Ghost. They want to be the next
Yeah.
Kanan. They want to be the next gangster. And let me tell you something, when you take that road of doing wrong things, there's only two places you wind up, either in the penitentiary or in the graveyard.
That's right. That's right.
That's all I had to say about that. Now I'm turning it back over
Well,
to my
well,
brother.
no, we gotta address that for a minute, because you're right when you say too often we have these young brothers want to be things that they see on TV that we have a tendency to glamorize and sensationalize,
Mhm.
and we need to pay attention to that. We need to pay attention to the images that we allow our children to be exposed to. We need to be very conscious of how the people your children hang out with impact them.
Correct. Correct.
We're going to talk about how people we hang out with as adults impact us today.
Correct.
So, when I look at what you said, the first thing I heard was little boys with an S. And that means there were more than one. And that means there's more than one family that would be impacted if something happened to those kids.
Correct. Correct.
So we have to hold people accountable for what their children are exposed to. If you know that little boy is a bad influence, then yeah, as a parent, you have the right to say, I don't want you hanging out with that kid. And guess what? How your child feels. Now, I'm telling you, someone that's trained in early childhood development. Yes, it's not going to go well. But what I always say, what I write is that as a parent, you have to do what's right instead of what's popular.
Mm.
And if you know that little boy is influencing your child in a negative way, you have not just the right, but you have the responsibility to say as a parent, you're not hanging out with that little boy. But that's not popular, so we don't want to do it. And then the minute I got to tell this story because my best friend told me this story a couple of weeks ago, and all of these years I didn't know. He told me now his son, as a matter of fact, my best friend's son just graduated from high school this weekend.
Mm.
So he said,
congratulations.
Yeah, no, I had to tell him. He said when his son was a young kid, the teacher called him and told him, he's been acting up in school. I have a hard time dealing with him. He won't listen. So my boy said he came all the way down from Texas and was outside the door. And just so happened, when he walked up to the door, guess who the teacher's screaming at? His son.
Mm.
Like, hey, stop it. Don't do that. Sit down. And he said when he turned into the doorway, his son was like, hey, Dad, what you doing here? He said, and he had belt in hand. Wait, now here's the profound part of the story. And I was like, I can't believe you never told me that. He grabbed his son, turned to the class and said, y'all want to see me whip his butt? He said the entire class was cheering. Yeah, yeah. He turned to his son and said, now that's your friends. Your friends, the ones you showing out for, the ones you acting out for, is cheering for you to get your butt whipped. He said, hold on, hold on a second. How many of y'all want to see him get his butt? Everybody was cheering. And he looked at him, he said, these are the people you showing out for. He said he never had any more problems with his son.
The sad thing about it, Brother Brown, is we have these young men and young women now, and they're getting younger it seems like every year they're getting younger, that are roaming the streets all time of the day and night. It's literally like these children are raising themselves. And that's sad because what you and I are both in a profession where I have to sit down and have classes. And I used to teach a parenting class, and just the art of parenting is no longer there. These children are literally raising themselves. If I look back on how you and I were raised back in the 70s and the 80s, the 70s and the early 80s, I can literally say that I at least twice a day sat at a table with my mom and dad. At least twice a day. I can't recall very few times that I either sit down with both of them or at least one of them. And these days and times, children don't even sit with their parents anymore.
Right. They take their break to their room. They go to their room. Yeah.
Right. So, the sad thing about it is if you look at the statistics, and if you look at the statistics when it comes down to shootings, we ain't even got to talk about mass shootings. We just got to talk about on a regular daily basis folks that we just had a young 14-year-old get shot yesterday here.
Mm-hmm.
So once again, gun violence is on a rise, but we have these young children that are walking around with absolutely no guidance. And then here's the sad thing about it. There's a lot of organizations. You belong to some, I belong to some, a lot of folk belong to some. And all, and I got a person who's a little upset with me right now because, like I told him, when will the talking stop and when will we really come with some real action? Because it's our children out here dying. And you normally don't say nothing until it's your child that's involved in it.
Or your family impacted.
Yeah. Right. If you're not involved or impacted, all this why don't do nothing. At the end of the day, like I told folks, I went for 30 days long before you knew me. Me and two other brothers I like to give a shout out to. Chris Bernard, his people call him Chris Unity Bernard, and Josh Edmonds, who's running for school board. A long time ago, when the crime was going outlandishly crazy, murders were going on left and right around here. We prayed and believed, and God said, if y'all will walk the city for 30 days at daytime of night, we were meeting up at 9, 10 o'clock at night and walking till 12 midnight in some of the roughest hoods in our city. And we were telling young men and young women that we saw that might be going the wrong way. We love you. Not tonight. Please, not tonight. We know the drama can kick off. We know the guns can come out, but not tonight. And I'm waiting for that to happen again.
The thing we have to address the elephant in the room when we talk about what you were just saying. It is that the parenting, let me not say parenting is not there, because parenting is there. If you have a child, it may not be positive parenting, it may not be good parenting, but it's there. But what has changed is we rarely got that, well, how do you feel about it? Because they didn't care how we felt. They trusted that they knew better, and the guidance that they were giving was going to make us better people. Okay? They didn't care whether we liked it.
We didn't have no options. We didn't have no say-so in it.
And they didn't care what we thought about it. You do it because I know better. I'm your age 3 times, and I know better. So what has happened is we went through the cycle of where we were raised, children are seen and not heard, to the next generation, which was, well, how do you feel about it? To now it's, okay, if you don't like it, I won't do it. So now those things and those life lessons that we must teach, they're not getting. Wow. So they don't have the skills and the coping abilities that we had. That's why suicide in our children is on the rise. They don't know how to deal with disappointment, how to deal with failure, how to deal with hardship, because they're overindulged. So I don't think that parenting is not there, but it's a different kind of parenting. In other words, I'm not going to ask you to take out the garbage because I know you don't like it. I know you don't want to do it. That teacher said what to you, and it made you feel bad. So let me go and deal with the teacher, instead of saying, well, why was the teacher talking to you in the first place?
Right.
You see, they're not going to do that because, well, you don't support me and I feel abandoned. Okay. So when I say that statement, parents are doing what's popular instead of doing what's right. Our parents didn't care how we felt about them parenting us.
Right.
I'm doing it because my mom used to tell me something that I always laugh because I was like, what is that? She would say, I know you don't want to do it, but do it anyway. It builds character. And I'm like, what is this character thing? And what do I need it for? I don't understand. I remember this is how much I did not talk back to Gail Brown. My mom told me one Saturday morning, I got up, she said, go outside, get the bucket and wash the car. And I said, Mama, boy, don't talk back. I said, I'm not talking back, Mom. She said, say another word. I was like, okay. I go get the bucket. I fill the bucket up with the soap. I'm washing the car. About 20 minutes later, my mama come to the door and she says, boy, why are you washing the car in the rain? I say, Mama, I tried to tell you it's raining outside, but you didn't want to hear me.
Right.
But get it. And it wasn't all of that back and forth.
Right.
So
because you had a reverence and a respect for the authority that
of
your
my
mother
mother.
possessed
Correct.
in the house of being the matriarch of your house. Now watch
Correct.
this. I want to use a word that like you say, these shows choose themselves.
Yeah, pretty much.
I've got to say this. We have got to start addressing the behavior and what
Absolutely.
led up to the behavior. Too many times we want to go, oh, but that's little Johnny and little Jane.
Man.
She's such a good girl. He's such a good boy. Everybody know these individuals have been menaces to our neighborhood for years. But soon as something goes wrong, somebody's sitting somewhere crying, going, oh, they didn't have to do that to my baby. But your baby been doing grown-up stuff and doing people wrong for years.
Time.
So how many times did you go to somebody and say, I'm sorry that my baby did that to you? See, we don't want to address the behavior or the lack of us being good parents and letting them get away with all manner of malice. That here's what we did. It was cute when they were 5 and 6 and cussing. It was cute. Oh, isn't he cute? And then all of a sudden it was funny when they got into like 10, 11 and they cussing and fighting and telling, the teacher say something. They go, oh, teacher, you got a nappy old wig on, blah, blah, blah. Now it's went from cute to funny. Then all of a sudden, 15, 16, they telling you when they coming home. They telling you don't come in my room unless you knock on my door. All of a sudden, it go from cute to funny to out of control because they are now running the house, not you.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's because you didn't put in the work when they was little. I just so happened to be scrolling through social media the other day, and I saw this guy, and he's a dog trainer. And he showed a video where there was a dog eating, and the closer the man put his hand to the dog's bowl, the more the dog growled. And he said, your dog should never do that. And then he showed another dog, and the dog was eating out of the bowl. And the man said, give me that bowl. And he reached and grabbed the bowl, and the dog just sat there and kind of looked and waited for the man to put the bowl back down. But there had to be work that went in to getting that dog that way.
Correct.
Everything that we do to our children is putting in the work or lack of putting in the work. So now we release them onto society or into society, and we look at these behaviors manifest themselves through adults. Let me show you what I'm talking about. We have all of these overindulged kids, and they don't want to do the work, but they want all of the outcomes.
Correct.
Okay. So now we're giving them trophies, and oh man, I think we talked about this one show before.
Right.
I know I did. There was a lady who's on a crusade to stop participation trophies. And she started this organization, and she goes around to all these athletic leagues. And the first thing she showed the guy who was videotaping, she showed like 500 trophies. And she said, show me the trophy of the team that's undefeated. And then show me the trophy of the team that hadn't won not one game. And she said, there's no difference because they don't want the kids that won 0 games to feel bad that their trophy is smaller than the other kids. She was like, that's not fair. That's not how society runs. So now let me bring it to where we live. I have students who leave college and go into the workforce expecting someone to give them something. And if you hold them accountable, you're not a good boss. You're not fair. Well, why did they get a raise and I didn't get a raise? Well, they come to work 15 minutes early every day. They do things without me asking. You don't do what I asked you to do. You at least 20 minutes late every day. Well, but we both been working here the same amount of time. If he got a raise, I should get a raise. We have to look at what we're teaching them and how it's coming back on us when they're adults.
You know, Brother
You
Brown,
believe you should have something just because I have it, not because you've earned it or you deserve it,
right,
but just
right.
because you should get it.
Right. That's the
And
point.
that's what they're getting, and that's what
Right.
we're putting out there. And
Right.
here's the part: if you don't give it to them,
Mm.
now they're suicidal,
Wow.
or they're shooting up the workplace,
Right.
or
Because they didn't get their way.
They're unable to cope with the fact that I didn't get something that I wanted. You know what I mean? I didn't get something that I wanted, so the world is not fair.
Mm.
Oh, the world is very fair. But what you have to understand is fair ain't equal. And I got that from a very good friend of mine.
Woo. Fair is not equal. Now, not only that, people have to always understand that I believe in the Holy Bible. And in the Holy Bible, it say you reap what you sow. So last time I checked, nothing plus nothing equals nothing. So right. If you didn't put nothing in it, how you expect to get something out of it? Let me give you a quick story. One of my favorite stories. Lois James Anderson, my father, a great man, a hardworking sharecropper from Henderson, Tennessee. My father gave me an acre of land. Told me, son, do whatever you will with that land. I said, okay. I think I was about 14 or 15 when this happened. Every year before that, around Christmas, I would get my Christmases would be just, I can't even mention them because they were just that wonderful and magnanimous to me. I can't name some of the stuff I got, but my father was a sharecropper. He had he had horses, he had cattle, he had pigs, he had over 250 acres of land that he farmed okay. So he gave me an acre of land. I didn't do nothing with it. I remember that Christmas, I looked under the Christmas tree and there was nothing under there with my name on it. And I asked my daddy, I said, Daddy, it's Christmas, isn't it? He said, yeah, it is. He said, why don't you take a ride with me? So we rode to that acre of land that he had given me. And he said, okay, son, what do you see at the back of the land I gave you? I said, you planted some cotton. I see cotton. He said, what do you see to the right of the land? I say some corn. He said, to the left. I said, soybeans. He said, what's on the land? I said, nothing. He said, if your family depended on you this Christmas to whatever you had on that land to bring them for Christmas, what would you have brought them? And I said, well, Dad. He said, no, it's no well, Dad. Just tell me what you would have brought them. I said, nothing if I had to grow something on the land. He said, I'm going to give you one even better. He said, I told you do whatever you will with the land. He said, when you knew you wasn't going to do nothing with the land, you could have came back to me and said, Dad, you gave it to me, but can I sell it back to you?
There you go. But now, if you were of this time, you know what you were saying? That's just not fair.
Right.
I don't understand.
So I thought after he had given me the lesson, I was going to go home and find some presents. So I said, I'm thinking that I'm super smart. I said, oh, he done took me out here where mama can put some presents underneath the tree. We get back home and guess what? Still no presents. Lesson learned. I promise you.
Guess what? You learned that. You learned today, didn't you?
Hold it. You're going to learn today. And I learned that Christmas, I learned the value of when you have to do what you have to do because others are depending on you. I'm asking myself, what are the values that we're teaching? And it's sad. It's sad. I couldn't be a teacher. I'm just telling you, I could not be a teacher. I see these kids now. I watch. I see it. These kids jump on teachers. Hold it. Half these teachers see the kids more than the parents see the kids.
Right. That's what I said. Teachers, firemen, police officers, military should be the highest paid people on the planet. Teachers spend more time with our children than we do.
Right. Teachers, and then the kids, if the teacher said don't be on your phone in class, they may get assaulted by a child. And then here's what gets me. If that child jumps on the teacher and the teacher defends themselves, then the whole world say you should have never touched that child.
Yeah, well.
Wait a minute. Wait, what are we doing?
Let me tell you something, Brother Dupree. I teach at, as you said, the Alcorn State University.
Yes, sir.
That's young men and women.
Home of the Braves.
Them young women nor them young men ever talk that foolery about, well, what would you do? Listen, we're not going to talk about that. We're not going to play like that because somebody ain't going to like the way it ends.
Right. That's no play.
That's not, we don't play around like that.
Right.
So what I'm interested in is that we have to start looking at how what we're putting into the bags that these children are walking through life with.
Come on.
What are we putting in their bag? See, because we all walk around with a bag, with our baggage. Okay? We all have our baggage. What are you putting in their bag that they can use when they walk around through life? You know what I'm saying? So you got to stop saying, well, at some point, they got to make their own decision. That's true. And your dad taught you that. So what he put in your bag was an acre of land.
Mm.
But when it came time to now, let's see what lesson we learned from what I did. You know what he said? Son, you got nothing because you put nothing in.
Right. That part.
Mm-hmm. You got nothing because you didn't put anything in. So, but what we're talking about and what is the problematic issue here is that they do not understand the concept of, we don't owe you anything. If you ride around, what we owe you is to feed you, clothe you, house you, and raise you up in a healthy environment where you can develop the skills necessary so that when, not if, when you leave, you can be successful.
Come on.
All right. So now, when you leave, now keep in mind, I prepared you so that when you leave, the level, this is good stuff right here.
Come on now.
When you leave, the level that you fall, because you're going to fall, because this is my house. This is my house. This is my food. This is my lights. The level that you fall will be determined by how much preparation you put in.
Come on.
All right. So if you had a 10 because you living in my house, you driving my car.
Come on.
You eating my food.
Yes, sir.
All right. Turning on my lights.
Yes, sir.
My water.
Yes,
staying
sir.
in my room.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So now it's time for you to go, and you're going on your own. If you have taken those life lessons I tried to teach you and give you to go out there and utilize the quality of your life. Now, remember, you had a 10.
Come on.
If you put in the work and you've learned, you might only drop to a 7.
7 or 8, correct?
Yeah, it might be somewhere around 7 or 8. You left, and if you're in college, you got a couple of scholarships.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Whatever it means. If you left and went to the military, you doing well with your money. You drop to a 7 or 8. But if you have not paid attention,
come on,
and you cried victim, though every time I tried to teach you something or tell you don't do that, don't go there, don't do this, and you did not adhere to that. So when you leave, now the quality of your life drops from a 10 to a 5. That ain't my fault.
Because hold on.
Stop. That's the profound part.
Come on. It's not your fault.
My fault. And therein lies the problem where people they'll say, well, it's your fault that I don't have a BMW at 20. It's your fault I don't stay in a condo at 19. It's your fault. So we have to look at what did we give them in their bag throughout the time they lived with us to go out into the world and utilize. What characteristics, what ideologies, what principles, what type of issues did you address from the time you parented them until the time you released them on the world, so that they have the skills, they have the character, they have the intestinal fortitude to deal with what life is going to throw at them. If you have not prepared them, then your house could possibly become that revolving door where they're in,
Right.
and then they out.
Right.
And
I got to
they
come
in,
back. I got to come back and stay with you.
okay.
And then you got a
Well,
28. Cody.
No, this is my fault. I'm not coming back to stay with you. I'm coming back to my room.
Right. You got a 28.
Come back to my room. You a 30-year-old man talking about your room?
I live with mama. Right. You in your 30s and you living with mama.
Okay. Now, here's the thing. There's somebody that's gonna see this somewhere and say, well, what's wrong with that? There ain't nothing wrong with living with your mom when you're 30. If you living with your mama and you paying the bills, but if you living with your mama and your mama still paying your bills at 30ish, no. Now, if you want to debate me, you can call anytime.
Right. Hold on. Right. The phone. Anybody who disagree, listen, if you want to call in today, we got a phone line. The phone line is right there. If you want to call in and chime in on this, because I see folk on here. Listen, family, we're trying to come up with some reasonable solutions because I'm tired of seeing the same old thing over and over again. Listen, I'm tired. Eventually, we haven't figured out how to fix certain problems. Mass shootings. I got bad news for you. We haven't figured out how to fix the problem because they keep occurring.
Because we still trying to do what's popular.
This from school pipeline to prison. We ain't learned. So, listen, we haven't learned how to change the hood into a utopia of a place that you don't have to move from the hood to the other side of town, because all of a sudden you got to be around other folks who not like you, because over there, that's where the milk and honey's at. Over where you at, everything is dilapidated and torn down. We haven't learned how to we haven't learned how to build Wakanda.
Right.
Let me say it the way it needs to be said. See, the problem is everybody trying to run from the hood when we should be running to the hood and make the hood our own Wakanda.
Build up the hood, but too often we have what we consider our standards to not be what we can. For example, we believe that filet mignon and lobster is the milk and honey. If that is so, why, when you go into these black neighborhoods, we have people that don't look like us lined up outside of our restaurants for the soul food, here's my favorite, for the chitterlings. For the chitterlings, they want the chitterlings, they want the collard greens. But so why are you, Miss, live right next door to the lobster and the filet mignon in the hood, trying to get, neck bones and rice and gravy, greens, and boudin? I don't understand. So what we have to do is we have to look at what we value. You see what I mean? We value different things that we really shouldn't be holding in such high regards. Because something I remember when I first moved out here, I never forgot this. I got invited to go to the bank. It was closing. They were going to have a community meeting. And I didn't know what the meeting was about, but I got invited to go. So we went. And man, the people in there started fussing and I was sitting next to this old man. And I found out later he was one of the local pastors. While all of this, I'm sitting there eyes wide because I'm like, these folks in here, ain't nobody hearing nobody because everybody's screaming. The man leaned over to me. Brother Dupree, that man said, they in here fighting over who gonna pick up all these nickels and dimes off the ground, where if we stand up, it's $1 million hanging over our head. I looked at him and I wanted to say, anybody listening to what this old dude right here saying? He said, look at him. He said, everybody arguing about these pennies and nickels on the ground. He said, but if we stand up together, it's $1 million over our head. We sit here and we will value a Lamborghini, but your dad is old 1963 Impala with all the dust on it, still sitting in the backyard with on 4 flat tires. You put a couple of $1,000 into it, you can sell it for 60,000. We was watching Meacham auto auction the other day. Guess what cars go for the most money?
Oh yeah, the old schools.
The old cars. So when we start talking about what are we putting in our children's bags from the time we raise them to the time we release them to go out into the world, we really have to look at what we're putting in there.
Right.
Because I just told you, I reared mine to where I'm going to give you everything you need. So when you leave here, the quality of your life it's going to fall because you ain't going to live like me.
Right. You're not there yet. You ain't
there yet. But depending on how much you listened,
right,
is going to determine how far you fall.
Right.
If you've listened and prepared yourself, you're going to fall somewhere around the 7s. But if you ain't, you go around the 5s and the 4s.
Right.
And you're going to struggle.
And we have to understand this. Now I'm going to say this, and that was beautiful. But here's what I really want folks to comprehend. You can go out there these days and time, you can go get anything. If you want, listen, I could literally go get whatever I want. The question is, can I maintain it? See, here's what really gets me. When I see people with fake Gucci, fake Prada, fake Louis, but you trying to act like you somebody. And another thing, stop trying to go broke, proving to folk who are broke that you ain't broke. Hold up, I'm gonna say that again. Stop going broke, trying to prove to folks who are broke that you ain't broke. Because at the end of the day, come on, listen, if you know real Gucci,
here go my bell.
Oh, okay. Hey, if you know real Balenciagas, so hold on. You out here, why? Don't get me wrong. If that's what you desire and you can afford it, but don't ever put yourself in debt to try to impress somebody who really don't care if you got it or not. Let me tell you something. Long time ago, somebody said to me, it's real simple. Half the people don't want to see you with it. The other half of the people don't care if you got it. That's 100% of the folk. So why are you trying to please folk anyway? You need to make sure you straight. I done seen people lose a lot trying to prove to a few that they got a whole lot. Come on, family. We need to wake up. And then we do this to our children. I just finished saying today, these kids want to be the next Tariq. They want to be the next Tariq on Power. They want to be the next Kanan. All they know is, and if you ask them, somebody challenged me today to ask a child, and I did. I said, how long you think you're going to live? Oh, I might make it to 21. If children are walking out here thinking that their life expectancy as black and brown kids is age 21, Houston, we got a problem.
We have a problem. But again, we have changed what's important. Growing old, sitting around with your kids and your grandkids, that's not cool. That's square. That's not lit. So what we're doing now is we have people who do not even talk to their kids. Want to know why? Well, they ain't listening to me. They don't want to hear what I have to say. Every time I try to talk to them, they tell me, shut up talking to me. And you okay with that? Again, we stopped doing what needed to be done because what needed to be done wasn't popular. It's not popular. How you feel. Don't talk to me. I don't want to do that. I don't like doing that. That don't make me feel good. I don't like the way that makes me feel. Okay, well, you don't have to do it. Well, so now they get into the world, and the world is requiring them to do things. And guess what they telling the world? I don't like that. I don't want to do that.
Right.
Because so now they can't function in the workplace. They can't function within their relationships.
Come on, speak.
They cannot interact in an interpersonal kind of way with any particular group, be it professional, social, or whatever. Oh, y'all messy. Why are we messy? Because we told you we were all gonna get together and go to brunch, and you came here in your booty cutters. So your girl said, hey, you might want to go put something else on. Y'all some haters. No, we're not going anywhere to wear booty cutters.
Right,
so
right.
now, if we had not said something and they stopped you at the door, now you're making a scene. You want to tear the building down because the people won't let you in because they don't want to let us in because we black. No, they don't want to let you in because you're not dressed appropriate.
Right. And the point is, being bougie and ratchet seems to be the thing of popularity.
Oh, it is.
Come on,
It's always been that way.
Come on.
Good is bad and bad is good.
Right. So we've got to, and watch this. And the children, once again, the children are watching. So just think about this, y'all. And I was sitting here thinking about some things. Those of you who know me was on my social media this weekend. I had some pros and some cons. Some folk, one person, a real good friend of mine said, man, I don't think it was good that you posted that, man, with them kids. Well, I told him, I said, man, had that been my kids, I want you to post it where I can get my kids.
You know what I would have told him? I don't think it was good. Those kids tried to break into my house.
Right. And it wasn't. And it was. And hold it. And let me show you the blessing in the game. The blessing in the game is that we wasn't here because guess what? With the way things are going on in these days and times, I know me. I'm not saying I would have did the kids anything, but here's the thing. I'm not taking the chance no more of saying, oh, that's just little Johnny and little Johnny's just like that. Because guess what? I done seen too many grown folk lately that didn't live their life to their fullest because they died to gun violence. Correct. Bottom line, the people who just was in the mass shooting in New Mexico, one of the people was 96 years old. Guess what? Spike Lee's dad died today at 94. I don't know how he died, but he didn't die because somebody put a gun to his head and shot him, or because there was a mass shooting and he was involved in the mass shooting. However he died, eventually the page was turned. God saw his name and it said, it's time for me to call this brother home. Now, I'm pretty sure it was like that with everybody else, even those involved in the shootings. But at the end of the day, that's not the way anybody needs to leave. Well, and you know, and we've got to do better. We've got to, I've got to say this, and I'm going to turn it back over to you. Family, we've got to make sure that we get ourselves together. A lot of us, and I tell people this right now, the reason a lot of us is messed up as black and brown folks, we got unresolved issues ourselves with our mamas and daddies.
Well,
I had to say, a lot of y'all got some unresolved issues with your mamas and daddies. Y'all done transferred that over to your marriage. That's why you've been married, divorced, married, divorced, married, divorced, because a lot of you haven't even resolved your own childhood issues. And now you grown up still with issues that are unresolved. Brother Brown, the mic is yours.
Hey, listen, we started talking about how our children are coming out of the home into society without the things that they need in order to be successful. We've given you explanations, rationalizations. We've given you theories and principles on why we believe it's that way. It boils down to this. Children, if you take a child, an infant, and you sit them in the middle of the room and you do nothing to them, you don't feed them, they will die. That shows you the importance of your impact on their life. So why have we gotten to the point as parents, as a society, where we've gotten away from doing what needs to be done because the individuals didn't like it? I have a news flash. Not liking it is not new. I didn't like it. My friends didn't like it. My children didn't like it, but they got it because it's necessary. We care more about how they feel than what they need. So now they come out into society, unequipped, inept. They can't function. If something happens that they don't like, they pout, they throw temper tantrums. And they move on to the next place that's going to allow them to do what they want to do. That's why they're so depressed. I said it earlier. They don't deal with, rejection, denial, failure, hardship. They don't deal with that stuff well. So now we don't want to look at the circle that they're running in. Like I told you earlier, that was a couple of little kids. That's 2 families, at least. There should be somebody saying, I don't want you hanging with that little boy. Well, I should be able to pick my own friends. You can do whatever you want, but you ain't hanging out with that little boy because I said so. That's why. But how unpopular is that? That our children do not know, unfortunately, how to deal with that type of parenting. They don't. I said so. I tell parents when I do parenting group, the first rule of my parenting group is, yes, you do know better. Because children will make you believe that you don't know what's right. You don't know what's best for them. Let me assure you, you do. It is not possible for a 10-year-old to know more than a 30-year-old. Want to know why? Because you've been 10 3 times. And that means you should have 3 times as much life experiences. But we allow them to say things to us that's disrespectful. Well, you should let children be expressive. Why? Now, again, I'm sitting here ready to receive anybody that wants to challenge what I'm saying. What we have to start looking at is, are we getting out of our children when they go into society what we put in? And my answer to that is yes, we are. Because we're not putting in the hard work. Now, we had a debate, and I don't know if you saw this video, Brother Dupree, but it blew my mind. There was a young black woman, and she had just bought her daughter a Tesla.
Okay. Right.
You saw that?
And the young lady was totally upset.
She's in the driveway having a meltdown because that's not what I told you I wanted. Wait. I can't even get it out. That's not what you told me you wanted.
Right. Come on. You're not grateful for what I gave you. You wanted a particular and that's the point. I hear it time and time again. And sadly, it's times like this. I wish I had brought a woman on this program tonight, and I may have to redo this program, and we may have to come back again. But here's the thing. Here's the crazy thing. Most of the time when I hear about bad parenting, it normally falls on good daddies. Good daddies. But hold on. Understand this. Most men are looking for somebody a lot like their mama, believe it or not. You can like it, leave it, or love it. And most little girls are looking for somebody like their daddy, should they have had a daddy in their life. To me, I just look at this whole thing and I'm like, even if I look at the mistakes, the good, the bad, the ugly that I did in my life as a parent, I could have did better. That's why I posted after all this happened, and me and another brother who's very popular in my neighborhood, and big shout out to Kenneth, Keep 'em Talking Boudreaux, because what Kenneth did, because them same young boys, he winded up confronting them same young boys, trying to look inside his mailbox. But at the end of the day, here's what I'm saying. We got to do better. That's why I posted on, after all this was said and done and the smoke cleared, what I said is we all got to do better. Because here's the deal. We all talk a good talk until we get that call that either says, come see me at the precinct, little Johnny done broke into somebody's house and shot somebody and they're dead, or he broke into somebody's house and they shot him and he's dead. So you either getting a call from the jail or the morgue. When are we going to wake up? And then everybody want to talk about, this and this. Let me tell you something. If little Johnny or little Jane has been terrorizing the neighborhood for years, out of control, cussing folks out, sticking people up, robbing, stealing, running cons on folks, and all of a sudden something happens between little Johnny and law enforcement, and all of a sudden you want to say, well, law enforcement didn't have to handle him like that. Well, tell that to the grandma across the street that Johnny broke into a house and stole her stuff and hit her upside the head.
You know, this story happened just literally this week. Have a kid that I was seeing, and I'm gonna go. As a matter of fact, it was today. I had a kid I was seeing today, and come to find out there's some drug usage. And so I'm like, well, we got to talk to your parents about it. You know, we gotta explore this with your parents.
Mm-hmm.
When the parents were confronted, they don't want to talk about it. There's no need for us to bring this up. That's not an issue. And I'm sitting there saying it's an issue because your son is using drugs. Well, you know, that's in the past. In my family, it's no longer. No, it might be in the past for you, but it's in the present for him. The avoidance and the not willing to acknowledge your part in his life, the baggage that he's carrying, is what has our children walking around here not with the type of mindset that they need to deal with what the world is bringing. The world is bringing in major obstacles for our kids. A little different from us. And people always say, well, how is it different? People are the same. Well, society is not the same. Technology changes the game. If I didn't like you, Brother Dupree, and we was in the park, 20 people might know.
Right.
But if I don't like you and I put it on social media, 500,000 people might know.
Correct.
So, yeah, technology has changed the game.
Correct.
But what hasn't changed is our responsibility to rear the way they need to be reared, to prepare them for society.
Amen.
And
Amen.
society is not fair. Society is not equal. Okay? It ain't gonna care how you feel about certain things.
Correct.
If I tell you to take out the trash at work, I'm not going to debate with you why I didn't ask him to take out the trash. I asked you.
Correct.
Well, I think he should take it out. Well, I didn't ask you what you think. I asked you to take out the trash.
Correct.
The fact that we're dialoguing about it is a problem for me.
This is not a democracy. This is not a democracy.
Now you're fired.
Right.
So I got to worry about, are you going to come back to the workplace with an AR-15 and shoot me and the other brother that didn't take out the trash?
Right. And anybody else in the workplace because you upset.
Okay. That is a lack of skills to deal with real life situations. As a gamer, you a gamer, brother. My brother right here is a true gamer. Does voiceovers for games. Every time we get on here, he is in the middle concentration, baby. You have the skills to know, though, that those games aren't real.
Right.
They may address some familiar situations, the Call of Duty and stuff like that. But you know, if you get shot, you can't press no reset.
Oh no. There's no. When you get shot in real life, it hurts. Yeah. I can testify to it. In the military, I done went through it 4 times. I can testify. When you get shot in real life, it hurts.
It ain't the same. So what we have to do is, and I want to talk about this real briefly before we start heading into wrapping this up, why it's important that parents do what is right instead of what's popular.
Come on, talk on it. Speak on it, brother.
People can be so influential in your life. And I really have to address this because somebody may take this and apply this to a relationship that they're in, to their children or whatever. People become so influential in your life that their ideologies could impact the way you behave. Show you what I'm talking about. You can be going about your day, and somebody will say, well, you just lied for no reason. And you really will stop what you're doing and start thinking about, what did I lie about? And then you start to have anxiety. Well, until you realize, wait a minute, I didn't lie about anything. It shows you the relationship and the importance of that person in your life. Now, put that in the place of a child.
Correct.
They're friends. Yo, man, let's go down there and break in dude in them house. Yo, man, can we just go get some ice cream or something? Man, nobody trying to get no ice cream. Come on, we're going to go break into somebody's house. And guess what? They did. Be careful who you let influence your children.
Right.
You have to be more of an influence on your child than anything else that they're going to come into contact with. Come on.
Boys in the Hood.
Right there.
Boys in the Hood, my favorite scene. Scene. Hold up. Trey gone. Hold it. Trey said, let me out.
Let me out.
See, you got to have enough influence on your child that even though they might get in the car and be headed to do the drive-by, that all of a sudden it kicks into them, mom and dad, both mom and dad, mom or dad did not raise me like this. Let me out. Like I tell folks, what you do now matters later. That's why I posted the post the way I did. What you do now matters. You don't know how one decision can change your whole life. There are people right now serving juvenile life because they made a decision. There are folk right now that listen, once you go to the grave, you ain't coming back. I want folk to really understand this. I cannot tell you in the last 10 years since I've lived where I live, how many folks I know that we have young folk from age 30 and below, 30 all the way probably to 10, who have violently died by gun violence. You don't come back from the grave. Mama can't put her arms around you and hug you no more and tell you how much she loves you. You cannot come back from the grave. And we got to start talking real. We got to stop talking real because this is what we want. See, some of y'all are talking and advocating because you want applause, not for the situation, but for yourself. See, I got to get this out of me now because I'm sick and tired.
Get it out. You're sick and tired of being sick and tired.
I'm sick and tired of folk who claim to be all about the community, but really all they're about is this. Because if that ain't coming and the cameras ain't coming, we don't see you. At the end of the day, until you're willing to, without the cameras, without a Facebook post, without telling anybody anything, going out there and being a foot soldier in these hoods, hugging on some of these thugs and thugettes and telling them, not tonight, I love you. Somebody loves you. Somebody cares about you. Do you understand this can affect your family and somebody else's family? Don't put yourself in the prison or in the grave. Until you do that, you really can't tell me too much of anything because you really have no credibility whatsoever, because anybody can get on a platform like this. Anybody can get in front of a camera or a microphone and talk that talk. I need to see you walk that walk, because if you walk that walk, I promise you some real change is going to happen in some of these communities. I'm going to let everybody know this. I didn't press charges on them young men. I'm still to this day hoping that I get the opportunity to at least speak to the parents of one of the young men just to let them know, please, I do not want to see you at the funeral home or at the prison, not over your child, period. Do what you need to do to get them on the right path, because if they keep doing adult things as a child, they're going to wind up with adult consequences, and adult situations will happen. And only two places when you out in these streets going to come out of it. You either going to be in the penitentiary or you're going to be in the graveyard. And I don't want to see no black young man, young lady in either place. All right, brother, it's yours.
Hey, man, I think that's a great way to end. I mean, saying what you just said was said with conviction, it was said with passion, and it was said with love. We love our people. That's why we do this every Wednesday. We take time. That's why the people who tune in love what we do, and they love the people that we're trying to reach. They love their people. I think that what you just said was a message to some parent out there. It's time to do the hard work. And how your children feel about it doesn't matter. I was sitting with my mom just a couple of days ago, and my mom said something that was very profound. She said, I can't even comprehend somebody coming to me and me saying, it's 10:30. I don't know where he is. I don't know what he out there doing. My mom said, that's incomprehensible to me. She said, I knew where he was at all times. So I think that to hold people accountable for what we're writing on our children or what we're doing. I saw a gentleman, we'll talk about that another show because we're over time. He said that your children's behavior is already determined. I don't agree with that. He said there's almost 26,000 behaviors that's already in your child from the time that they're born. And what I would say to him is, it's not the behaviors of scratching, blinking, breathing. It's the ideas of, I'm not going to do that because that's wrong and it'll hurt someone, that we do get a chance to write on our children. Compassion is something that you teach a person. Character is something you help a person develop. Consideration, it is a character trait that you teach a child. You offer before you take a bite of your hamburger. My mom used to tell me, I don't want it after you done bit off it. Offer me before you bite.
Come on.
She taught me these things. Anyway, we could go on and on, but here we are, 5 minutes over the hour. I still want to say this, as we say every week. We're here every Wednesday because we believe in your mental health. If you are in need of somebody to talk to, please don't hesitate to call Positive Choices. Someone will reach out to you. And like we always say, every Wednesday when we close out, if nobody else told you today, we love you. See you next week. Peace.